back to the void, where we talk about anything and everything, helpful and unhelpful.
I love how simple that intro is, by
Yeah,
the way.
it is. It is. That may be the new intro. I like that.
I like it.
Which, if you're listening, please forgive us. It is allergy season, so any like sniffles or hawks or, nice juicy mucus you hear, just go ahead and tune that out.
I'm having a tough time this morning.
Yeah, me too. I woke up and I think I told you I was drowning this morning, so that was great. But so, Brennan, what are we talking about today?
We actually have a topic that I can't wait to get into. But we'll start broad. And so the idea that we really want to talk about is online relationships. We know those happen like literally since COVID. I feel like everything, it was happening before COVID, but when COVID hit, the only relationships that were really happening were online.
Freaking Zoom.
You don't like Zoom,
dude? No, I'm still scarred from having to Zoom in everywhere.
The Zoom fails, though, were great.
Yeah, they were.
However, here's a question, though. What are your honest feelings now?
Mm-hmm.
Post-COVID, post like Zoom hype.
Yeah. What
are your honest feelings now when you're on a Zoom call and somebody uses the green screen background for the duration of the Zoom call?
That's definitely rough. I mean, I feel like, why do you even Zoom if you're going to have a green screen background? Which the pranks were the best. Like Drew, our administrative pastor, he literally set up a green screen of like halfway through the Zoom call, he like gets up and walks out, but like he's still sitting there.
Oh,
and everybody was like flipping out.
I don't
So
know
like those are funny.
I never saw those.
Yeah, those are funny.
The ones with like, because Tiger King was massive,
dude,
during like
so
COVID.
Annoying.
So the Tiger King backgrounds, every time I'd see that now, it's like, oh, I see what you did there. That's funny for like 3 seconds, but when it lingers for like 15, it's like.
I feel like if you're under 70 and understand technology, it's not that funny.
Okay, so back to online relationships. Let's just kind of talk about it, because you are a gamer.
Facts.
You are a gamer.
Big time.
I am not.
It's okay. We forgive you.
And that's not because it's like I have this vendetta against gaming. It's that I am terrible at video games. Therefore, I never got into it.
Yeah.
Because I was never good at it. But I know a lot of people, you included, have developed genuine relationships online. So I just want to get your thoughts for the listeners on like, what is your general stance on, can you develop real relationships online?
Oh, I think 100%. I think if you say no, you're kind of lying to yourself. I think it's so hard in today's culture because we have so many like anti-online people. You got your like, well, my kids aren't going to get on an iPad. They're going to get out and play. And like, I agree with that. Or like, I don't do social media. I don't play video games. I have the real world. Like, okay, Carol, like calm down a little bit. Because I think when we realize online it's not even the future. It's the present. Everything we do is online. I think that we have so many online relationships, even if like you like someone's post and like yours back. I have like relationships with people that I've like never even spoken to. And I think especially from like a believer standpoint, we talk about being ambassadors for Christ, but like everyone is seeing everything you're doing.
Yeah.
You're pouring into people and making an impression on people, even if you don't even know it. So I think online relationships are like the most prevalent relationships we have in our life. Obviously, it's not as impactful as like a face-to-face relationship, but I think they're massively important and they're definitely real.
So here's kind of what I think is the general pushback against online relationships, is that it diminishes the value of in-person relationships. So if I lean towards online relationships, or I make much of online relationships, then I'm diminishing the value of in-person relationships, which is ironic because you actually met your wife.
I did. Yeah.
It's
my secret. Thanks.
Via online dating.
Yeah. Again, that's my secret, but
it is no longer a secret.
Yeah, thanks for airing that out.
Everybody will know now.
Yeah, we did actually. Through Bumble, if you can believe that. Bumble, the online dating apps, which it was funny because I was never like, I hated the online dating scene. I like never liked that. I wasn't really a big like dater in high school. I mean, a lot of females didn't really give me the opportunity, but I also just didn't.
I can't imagine why.
Yeah, right. No, if you know me, you can just think of a new reason every day. But I wasn't really into that. But like once I got like 18, 19, I had this friend Rob, who lives in Louisiana now, but he's like, bro, you gotta get on these dating sites. Like, it's so easy. You just swipe, find all these girls. And I was like, nah. So he like set them up for me. Like I set up the information, but he's like, he made me like a Bumble, Tinder, I don't even know, like 3 or 4 of them. And I've like put it in my bio, posted like a picture of like me and my cute dog, and then like that didn't check it for like a year. So I had this profile for like a year, like untouched. I wasn't like actively going and swiping. And then I saw it, like I was clearing out some apps, at least probably like a year to 18 months later. And I saw this Bumble. And I was like, let me go on there and see. And I had like probably like 50 to 60 matches just from the first couple days where I went on and just, he told me like just swipe right on everybody, which I do not recommend. And so I had like 50 or 60 matches from the past
you're
year.
casting the net.
Right. Yeah. And I had like, I don't know, 24 messages or so. But when I checked the app, the message I had from Claire, my wife now, if you know Claire, she's great. I don't deserve her, whatever. But I had the message from Claire like 8 hours earlier. So she was like, most recently messaged me, and I checked her profile. I was like, all right, she's cool. And then it was like, oh, I like your dog. Of course, that was like just a segue. But yeah, fast forward now, we've been married for 2.5 years. So it's great.
All of those unread messages that sat in your Bumble inbox for months.
Yeah.
The shattered hearts.
Oh,
that
definitely
have to exist.
Definitely.
When you didn't respond.
Dude, they don't know how big of a bullet they dodged. Like they have no idea. But yeah, so did meet my wife online. So I'm a little biased on online relationships. But there's tons of people who I think like definitely right now, it's like overwhelming majority of like the way couples meet. Which just because I met my wife online, I'm not necessarily like an endorser of like I'm like, oh, go online, get a Bumble, you will get married. I think it just happened that way.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So,
and if you know us, you wouldn't really know it, which I think is a good thing.
Every time, no idea.
Every time we tell somebody, they're like, really?
Yeah.
So
yeah. I recently talked to somebody that we both would, consider knows you well.
Yeah.
And when I was talking about the fact that you and Claire met on Bumble, they were shocked.
Yeah, it is kind of a shock.
They had no idea. So for those of us that have been living under a rock, quickly give us the drop on what is Bumble.
So Bumble is like one of the like dating apps or dating sites, but the thing that's different about Bumble is that the female like has to move first. So whereas like Tinder or like Hinge and all the other ones, the male can just like reach out and message with like a pickup line, and that's kind of the standard. But with Bumble, it like protects the females, which I think is great because dudes are like the worst. Yeah. It protects the females, and like they have to initiate contact and they have to be the first one to message, and you can't even like engage with them at all until they reach out to you first.
Bringing chivalry into online dating.
Which, by the way, I'm not sexist by any means, but let me just tell you, pickup lines are not female strong suits. I went through and looked at some of the messages I had. It was rough.
Really?
It was absolutely rough.
Hey, don't hate on the girls that were just casting the net just like you were.
I mean, if I wasn't interested before,
they were using words, you were using swiping.
Yeah, exactly. It was bad.
So, okay, obviously your story considered, but would you say, bottom line to the question, is online dating bad? You would say
no.
Okay.
Not at all.
Okay. Yeah, I
do think there's some like cliches or like standards that had to be busted, because when you hear online dating, I mean, you have to talk about the hookup aspect. You just have to, because especially like Tinder, that's kind of like what it's known for, and that's even how they promote it. So there is the hookup aspect, which is a big part of it. But I think that it's not 6,000 years ago and you don't have arranged marriages. Like, I think we have the freedom in our culture to be able to like look at different people, and for like us as guys to be able to say, oh, she like went to this college, she was in this area, she likes this, she's whatever. And even for us as believers, like we can automatically look at someone's page and in 5 seconds be able to tell you like, oh, they love the Lord, that's cool. Whereas that's something that like in person, you would have to weed out through maybe a few weeks or a few months or whatever. So I think it's good, but
I think it's evolved too.
Yeah, I was gonna say, as someone who didn't meet their spouse online, from an unbiased perspective, what do you think about online dating?
I think honestly, the older you get, the more sense for me it makes,
That's fair.
because I know I had this fear when I was in college. I was like, if I get to the end of my senior year and I don't have like a serious girlfriend,
Mm.
my pool shrinks dramatically.
And you're not wrong.
Because
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know where I'm gonna move. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I know like I'm not gonna be in spaces where I can meet a bunch of people.
Yeah.
So the online dating aspect of being able to like specify what you value, and then just, I mean, honestly, you do some of the preliminary work
Yeah.
digitally
Yeah.
and
That's
just
true.
weed out. Now, people lie in their profiles all the time. You see this stuff like, even now on social media where it's like their profile picture is actually like either their very best edited photo,
Yep.
or like the older you get, it's like a picture that's like 10 years out of date.
Yeah. Right.
And so, there's some non-truthful online daters.
Definitely some catfishing going on.
Yeah. But really, I think the conversation comes down to like just social media in general.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That's true.
And so like social media really introduced this idea of online dating, social connection, online relationships.
Yeah. That's true.
And especially in the sphere of things that we do. I mean we're doing a podcast right now,
Yeah.
which is a social platform. So social media in general.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on kind of like online dating? Good, bad?
Yeah.
Where is there lines to draw?
Did you see the Social Dilemma on Netflix? The big,
Yes.
like, I'm sure everyone's seen that.
Yes.
Well, that kind of broke down how if you are 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 in kind of those in that developmental age range, a like legitimate confusion of reality begins to happen, which is fair. But I think that it's a catch-22, and it's so polarized because people always think social media is the worst or it's the best. I tend to lean more towards the side of it has the potential to be the best. I mean, think about, not to like Jesus-ify it over spiritual. Think about the gospel. Like, think about how, I read, in about 2,000 years ago, and the disciples were like spreading the gospel, or like, spreading all this good news. Or like that when the day of Pentecost happened. Imagine if somebody would have been filming when these guys would have been speaking in tongues,
Yeah.
like, or they would have been able to tell thousands of people or millions of people. I mean, a video goes viral. I mean, we posted a TikTok last night and we've got 50 followers and it got 1,200 views in like 3 hours or something with like no promotion. Like, the reach and the potential is insane. And so I don't want to diminish social media as a whole because it does have some negative effects, because it does have some negative effects. But I'm a social media guy, obviously because we're in youth ministry, but I'm for it 100%. I think that there definitely are conversations that have to be had, and I do think that the average screen time for Gen Z right now, which is around 10 hours, I think that's a little high.
Right.
Love to see that come down a little bit, but I love social media. I think it's just, especially for a church or for a person in general, I think it's really irresponsible to say like, oh, I'm not on social media. Social media sucks, blah, blah, blah. Well, sorry, dude, but like the world's going to literally outpace you and leave you behind. So I think that it's just irresponsible to be like a social media hater. I love social media.
Yeah. Now, I think some people, I don't know if they would necessarily consider themselves a social media hater, but they do abstain from it.
Yeah.
Which, everybody follow your decisions, convictions. But I do think, when you look at social media, like you're saying, there are certain aspects of social media that I absolutely love.
Yeah.
I think you actually said it maybe a few weeks ago, but on TikTok especially, you have the ability to curate a phenomenal TikTok experience.
Yeah.
Like if you can get it,
it's insane.
If you can get it to the
It's
point
insane.
of where like, the stuff that you're like genuinely not interested in, you're saying I'm not interested in this. And the algorithm on TikTok's so intuitive anyway.
Yeah.
But you can get it to a place of where it's a fun experience. But just last night, I'm sitting there enjoying my fun TikTok experience, laughing by myself in my house because some of these TikTok creators are absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
But, looking up and an hour's gone by.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, there's a difference here between like enjoying social media and letting social media steal your time.
That's true.
And when it gets to the like hour mark where I'm like, I've done nothing but scroll for an hour, I immediately, maybe it's just my own brain, maybe it's Corey, my wife, like looking at me like, "Are you gonna put your phone down now?"
Right.
Something clicks where it's like, what could I have done that mattered
Mm.
in the 30 minutes that
Yeah.
I spent scrolling? But to say, like you're saying, we're not social media haters because one, we're millennials. Two, we realize, I love the way you say that the world is moving at a rate, so you can either choose to let it pass you by,
Yeah.
or you can, I think, with wisdom, use it effectively.
Yeah.
The thought that, what if we live streamed the day of Pentecost?
Yeah. Right. I can just picture that now.
Yeah. What are the comment sections like?
Right, dude. Especially if you have no idea like what speaking in tongues is. Like that'd be wild.
Yeah. Like, can someone please turn the captions on?
I want to get the video. I wish someone would have recorded the dude that fell asleep in church and fell out the window, and Paul immediately goes down, or I think it was Peter, and like brings him back to life. I wish that was on video.
That goes viral.
You talk about viral.
Immediately. Yeah, maybe actually, I think there's already a book called that. I'm not gonna say the name, but there is a book around that.
Yeah.
But okay, so kind of like we did with online relationships. Bottom line, you would say, social media.
Good. I think potentially great. Yeah, I think like what you're saying about the waste of time is the biggest thing. And I'm so guilty of that. Like, have you ever looked at your screen time on your phone, like went in the settings and looked?
Yes, very rarely. But
Has it
yes.
ever been a number that you're like, oh wow, that's great. Like I'm so happy with myself.
No.
Because for me, I'm always like, oh yikes. Like
Yeah.
I hope nobody sees that. But and I think about the 10 hours, like that's insane. But I think the entertainment perspective, I think if you do get to a point to where 3 or 4, and someone like our youth watching this probably gonna feel a little called out, but like if 3 or 4 hours of your day, whether like at night, laying in the bed, or in the morning, whatever, are just feeding like entertainment to yourself, funny videos or whatever, that does get a little like, all right, like I think that's why we're starting to see a lot of younger people be a lot more socially awkward and disengaged and things
Yeah.
like that. So there definitely is some drawbacks, but I think that it's I don't want to throw everything out together.
Right.
I think that social media in itself is a massive reach, especially as a church. But like even going back to video games, like you were talking about earlier, I've seen, and like Claire can attest to this. I've seen dozens of people like come to Christ through video games. There's a guy on TikTok called Cross the Crown Gaming. Dude, he's literally an evangelist. He queues up in random lobbies and Call of Duty and all these things and just shares the gospel with people, and like it's amazing. He does
My
that
mind
8
can't
hours a day.
understand that.
Dude, he does it 8 hours a day every day. It's amazing. But I mean, Claire's like, I've been, just debating like deism versus like Christianity with somebody, and Claire's walked in thinking I was like on the phone with you, and I'm
Yeah.
like sitting there like playing a video game, like trying to lead somebody to Christ. But
90% of the listeners right now are Googling, what is deism?
yeah, right. Yeah. No, yeah. That's another 2 hours we don't have today. But and even me, like friendships, like I've got like my best friend in the world, Trevor. I haven't seen him in 10 years, but we're like still best friends because we like game together a lot. And I don't, I've got 2 jobs and I'm pretty busy. I'm in school. So I don't ever play. There's not every week where I play every night. I play probably 3 to 4 times a week.
Yeah.
A couple hours like at the most, but maintaining those relationships, you can't do that without video games. You can't do it without social media. So
Well, here's a question though.
Mhm.
Is social media in online, let's just say online.
Mhm.
Actually, we'll put online gaming in a separate bucket because there are some people like friends that you online game with.
Yeah.
You literally don't have the ability to interact with them face to face because they either don't live near you
Right,
or
yeah.
whatever. Let's just say social media. Is social media ruining our ability to have one-on-one conversations?
I think that's definitely a consequence. Like I would say yes. I mean, walk up to, and again, youth minister. I love this generation. I love Gen Z, love millennials. But, and not to like knock you guys that are watching that are younger, but walk up to a 16-year-old and ask them how their day was, and walk up to a 40-year-old. It's like night and day.
Yeah.
Um,
Is that cultural?
I think it is cultural, but I think it's solely because of social media. And I
Okay.
think that's one of the drawbacks. Like I don't think that's a big enough reason, like I said before, to throw it all out. But it
Yeah.
is something to be concerning. I think that that definitely should be an emphasis on personal conversation because I've got, I've texted to students or texted people I don't know. Hey, I'll meet you here. So excited. Like normal conversation. I'm like, oh, this person's awesome. Then I go to meet them and they're like, yeah, what's
Right.
up? Like, really?
Right.
I'm like, is this the same person I texted? So I think it does create kind of a security blanket. And to answer your question, yeah, I think it is kind of taking away of our ability to interact one on one. I think managing that is the hardest thing. Maybe that should be our next an episode in the future. Maybe we can talk about how to actually manage, how
Yeah.
to be present and use your reach on social media, but how not to like become a potato in like regular
Yeah.
conversation.
So bottom line we're drawing is not bad when used with wisdom, great potential.
Absolutely.
However, not a replacement of in-person relationships, but not um, a lesser version of in-person relationships.
Yeah.
Is that an accurate
That is an
summation
accurate.
of?
I'd probably have to read that back. That was like super long, but yeah,
Yeah, I don't know if I could
think
say it back,
I think
but
that's accurate. Yeah, I think that it's you can't discredit the potential reach of social media, and not even from a gospel perspective, just from like a community
yeah,
perspective. Can't discredit the ability of social media,
yeah,
but you also can't just go in blindly and not thinking about some of the drawbacks. So
yep.
yeah, that's what I'd say.
So that's a lot of thoughts
It
on
is.
on online relationships, dating, social media. But let us know your thoughts.
Yeah,
DM us, comment on this. We're actually one of the things I love about you and I, Tyler, is we're not like we have opinions, convictions, thoughts. There's certain things that we are unmoved on, but social media is not one of those things that we're like
not at all.
drawing lines in the sand on. So let us know your thoughts, your opinions, good, bad. Maybe you have a story of like a genuine relationship that's formed. Maybe you have an opinion that you've spent months
Yeah.
poring over
Yeah, if you
research.
hate social media with a passion and just think we're idiots, like please let us know. That'd
if
be
you
great.
if you think that our brains are a result of social
Yeah.
media, you know, wasting them away, then that's a cool comment too. That's your
Yeah.
opinion. But either way, thanks for listening to this episode of The Void, and we'll see you next time.